Accustomed to the clich A.D. Three Kingdoms War, now let's have something different. Eastern Ming, Western Tang, Southern Han, Northern Yuan, Middle Song Xiang Yu fights against the five Tiger generals, Zhang Liang fights against Guiguzi, Bai Qi vs Han Xin, the strongest lineup of feudal lords, the pinnacle of civil and military talents, and the most difficult journey of unification. Please remember, this is not only the Three Kingdoms, but also the most chaotic and exciting chaotic era in the history of the new warring states period. This book is slow to heat up, and the more it progresses, the more exciting it becomes. I hope viewers can persist in reading the yellow turban section. A group of QQ book friends. 605505658, second group. 335289419, welcome interested friends to join keywords of the novel. Summoning of the Peak of the Three Kingdoms without pop-ups, downloading the complete collection of Summoning of the Peak of the Three Kingdoms TXT, and reading the latest chapter of Summoning of the Peak of the Three Kingdoms. Chapter 1. Preface. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Preface. Order. The land of Guanzhong is bordered by Kengda Pass to the east, Dashan Pass to the west, Wuguan Pass to the south, and Xiaoguan Pass to the north. Due to its location in the center of the four passes, it is easy to defend but difficult to attack, and can advance or retreat, with great potential for war. Therefore, it is called Guanzhong. Due to its fertile soil, dense population, abundant resources, and excellent geographical location, it is also known as the Land of Dragons Rising by ambitious people, making it an excellent foundation for emperors. Qin conquered Guanzhong, swept away the six harmonies, pacified the eight wildernesses, destroyed ancestral worship, executed barbarians, opened up heaven and earth, and established an immortal cause. The Han and Tang dynasties have dominated the world for hundreds of years due to their acquisition of Guanzhong. For hundreds of years, there have been countless heroes in the world, but their foundation cannot be shaken. The Han and Tang dynasties have also become the most brilliant imperial dynasties in China. However, the earliest dynasty to rule the world due to Guanzhong was neither Emperor Qin nor Emperor Han, nor Emperor Tang, but King Wu of Zhou, GFA. During the reign of King Yuan of Zhou, the land in Guanzhong had another name, Xiqi. In 1046 BC, King Wu of Zhou, G, initiated the army of benevolence and righteousness, with the assistance of Duke Jiangxia, Fengming Qishan, and the overthrow of Zhou on behalf of heaven, thus establishing the 800-year-old Jiangshan state of the Great Zhou dynasty. Thousands of miles of rivers and mountains, thousands of stones, it is even more difficult to keep one's own business than to start a business. Ancestors start businesses and descendants lose their families. The Prince Yu, who did not show respect for his descendants, laughed at Bo Baozi, played with the feudal lords, regarded the state as a children's play, and the people as pigs and dogs. Therefore, the Western Zhou was ultimately destroyed by barbarians, and after the establishment of the Eastern Zhou, the capital was moved to Luoyi. At this time, there was a small country in the west called Qin, which was small and had few people. However, the ruler of Qin was wise, and the Qin people were diligent and martial. Under the guidance of more than 10 emperors, Qin gradually grew stronger and became an indispensable presence among the major feudal states in the Central Plains. Although the Qin people were called Shirong by various countries in the Central Plains, they were actually one of the major tribes of the Huaxia tribe that migrated westward. The ancestor of the Qin people, Ing Shi, was a powerful general guarding the western Rong during the Yin and Shang dynasties, and was highly valued by the Shang dynasty. He was a noble of the Shang dynasty. After the downfall of the Shang dynasty, the Ying tribe was punished by the rulers of the western Zhou dynasty for being involved in a rebellion instigated by Wu Geng, the son of King Zhou of Shang. They were not only forced to move westward, but the entire clan became slaves as a result. During the reign of King Xiao of Zhou, Qin's ancestor Qin Fizi was appointed as a vassal by the Zhou royal family for his meritorious service in raising horses. From then on, the Qin people raised horses for the Zhou royal family for generations and defended the border against the western Rome. Since the reign of King Yi of Zhou, the Zhou royal family has been declining and had to rely on the Qin people to stabilize peace in the western region. As a result, the state of Qin has been extensively granted land and gradually strengthened. In 821 BC, under the leadership of Duke Zhuang of Qin, the Qin people defeated the western Rome with weakness and strength, and were appointed as the western frontier magistrate by King Xian of Zhou. Qin was once again granted Tianshui, along with the land of Goqiu, Xianyang, where the original Dalao tribe lived. In 772 BC, King Yu of Zhou was attacked and killed by the western army. Duke Xiang of Qin was recognized by King Ping of Zhou for his meritorious service in rescuing Zhou with his troops. Duke Xianggong of later Qin was appointed as a vassal for his meritorious service in escorting King Ping of Zhou to the east, and was also granted the land west of Qishan. From then on, Qin state officially became one of the vassal states of the Great Zhou dynasty. Many kings of the Qin state died in the campaign against the western Rome, and their constant warfare with the Rome people created the Qin people's ability to conquer and fight effectively. However, due to its remote location and weak national strength, although Qin had a strong army, it was still not valued by the feudal states in the Central Plains. Until the reign of Duke Mu of Qin, Qin conquered the 12 western tribes, opened up more than 1,000 li of territory, and stabilized the rear area, leading to a significant increase in strength. Later Qin conquered the state of Shu and obtained the land of the Ba Shu Heavenly Prefecture, making Qin the largest country among the 7 warlords of the Warring States period. Starting from the western Chuxing of the capital of the Qin state during the Yin and Zhou dynasties, the Qin state went through 8 capital relocations, each of which meant an expansion. The 8 capital relocations took 100 years, with countless people and wealth, and ultimately settled in Xianyang, which never changed again. During the reign of Duke Xiaogong of Qin, he appointed the world-renowned talent Xiang Yang to carry out reform. After the reform, the state of Qin changed rapidly and became stronger day by day. After the death of Duke Xiaogong, Xiang Yang also died, but Qin's laws still existed. Relying on Qin's laws, Qin gradually became the most powerful country in the late Warring States period. For 800 years of the Zhou dynasty and 400 years of the Spring and Autumn period and Warring States period, the world was constantly in a state of war. It was not until King Qin Yingzheng inherited the Qin throne that there finally emerged a hope for unity in the world. In 221 BC, under the leadership of King Yingzheng of Qin, Qin quickly annihilated the 6 states, unified the world, and established the Great Qin Empire within 10 years. King Yingzheng of Qin believed that the destruction of the 6 states and the establishment of the world, ending the more than 400-year-long war, and restoring peace to the world, were unprecedented achievements. The king was no longer sufficient to demonstrate such achievements. King Yingzheng of Qin believed that he had 3 emperors of high virtue and 5 emperors of meritorious service. He decided to adopt the titles of emperor, and be called emperor to show his dignity. He was also known as the first emperor, known as Qin Shi Huang in history. After Emperor Qin Shi Huang abolished the enfeoffment, established prefectures and counties, wrote the same text, rode the same track, built the Qi Road, repaired the Great Wall, attacked South Vietnam, and attacked North Rome, but also due to the abuse of civilian power, it has led to a boiling of resentment among the domestic people, and there are many grievances among them. The first emperor lived for a day, the world remained stable for a day, and no one dared to make any changes. But after the death of Emperor Shi Huang, domestic uprisings continued, and at the same time, the remnants of the 6 states were restored. From then on, the world was once again in turmoil, with war and smoke rising everywhere, but heroes emerged in large numbers. Qin lost its deer, and the whole world pursued it together. Overlord Xiang Yu, carrying the spirit of ghosts and gods and unparalleled bravery, led his troops to enter the pass and set fire to the Aban Palace. Xianyang, which has a history of hundreds of years, has suffered tremendous damage, with thousands of palaces and palaces made of earth. The previous prosperity no longer exists. Although Xiang Yu was majestic and heroic, his behavior was too rigid in dealing with people and things, or could also be called cruel. Compared to the first emperor, Xiang Yu did nothing but act recklessly, causing the world to turn against him. Han King Liu Bang, with the help of benevolent and righteous teachers, and a group of talented individuals such as the sage Zhang Liang and the military immortal Han Xin, ultimately defeated Xiang Yu and established the Great Han Empire. Han ruled the world because he captured Guanzhong, but the Pearl of Guanzhong, Xianyang, had already been burned down by Xiang Yu. At the beginning of the Han dynasty, the national strength was limited, and the reconstruction of Xianyang as the capital was not worth the loss. At the suggestion of Zhang Liang, Liu Bang decided to build a new city 50 miles east of Xianyang as the new capital, and gave it the name Chang'an, symbolizing long-term stability and stability. After enduring the persistent construction of several generations of emperors such as Emperor Yuan, Emperor Jing, and Emperor Wu, Chang'an has finally become another magnificent and unparalleled metropolis rising on the land of Guanzhong. The surrounding city walls span over 100 miles, and during its peak, there were as many as 1.2 million residents in the city. And Xianyang, located 50 miles to the west, gradually crumbled until no one paid attention to it. The cold winter wind every year is the cry of this century-old ancient capital. Although Han ruled the world with benevolence, the ancestor Liu Bang came from a humble background, and no matter how he was embellished, he could not gain recognition from the royal family and the truly powerful ones. So although the Han dynasty appeared to be peaceful on the surface, there was still a hidden tide flowing behind the scenes, and resistance never stopped. During the period of Liu Bang, the remnants of the six kingdoms who intended to restore their country cooperated with rebellious generals in the army, but were forcibly suppressed by Liu Bang. After Liu Bang's death, Empress Lv came to power and the country almost changed hands. During the reign of Emperor Yuan, the Han court was plunged into internal turmoil, and the 8 kings with the same surname rebelled with the support of various opposition forces, with their troops pointing directly at Chang'an. Emperor Wu Lu-che deposed the 100 schools of thought and solely revered Confucianism, resulting in the 100 schools of thought backing away from the Han dynasty. Except for the 2 schools of Confucianism and Taoism. But Emperor Wu was talented and strategic. While fighting against the Xiongnu externally, he also suppressed the rebellion of hundreds of families internally and forced them to return to Confucianism. At the end of the Western Han dynasty, officials were corrupt, the emperor was incompetent, local plundering and exploitation were carried out, the powerful annexed land, the people were displaced, their lives were difficult and impoverished, people's hearts were floating, and political crises intensified. In the year 9 AD, Wang Mang, who came from a wealthy family, established a new dynasty and declared the implementation of a new policy. However, the restructuring ultimately failed. At the end of Wang Mang's reign, the world was once again in chaos, with uprisings rising in all directions. In the 4th year of Emperor Xinmang's reign, the uprising army invaded Chang'an, and a generation of heroes also died in the chaos. Among the uprisings that rose up in various places, Liu Xiu's power grew stronger day by day. Liu Xiu, who promised to share the world with the world's aristocratic families, gained the support of the world's aristocratic families. After gaining the support of aristocratic families throughout the world, Liu Xiu quickly unified the country and re-established the Great Han dynasty. However, the old capital Chang'an had already been destroyed in the war and could not bear the heavy responsibility of being the national capital. Therefore, he moved the capital to Luoyang, and from then on, the Great Han Empire entered the Eastern Han period. Although the Liu family regained control of the world, due to Liu Xiu's promise to divide the world equally with the aristocratic family, local real power fell into the hands of the aristocratic family. The aristocratic family is like a maggot. It constantly absorbs the essence of a big man to strengthen itself, and finally it is too big to die. To this day, 200 years have passed, and the Eastern Han dynasty has once again decayed, with chaos looming in the world. All ambitious individuals are secretly accumulating strength, silently waiting for the decaying tree of the Eastern Han dynasty to fall, then rising up in groups, sharing its corpses, and fighting again for the position of co-ruler of this world. Among this ambitious group, there are nobles and nobles who have changed their names and surnames, as well as 100 schools of thought lurking in Confucianism and Taoism. Even the Qin people, who have always been the most loyal lackeys of the Han dynasty, are among them. More than 400 years have passed since the downfall of the great Qin Empire. Most Qin people in Guangzhou have forgotten their ancestors, the glory of the great Qin Empire, and the fact that Xianying County, 50 miles west of Chang'an, was once a more magnificent metropolis. They consider themselves Han people and shed blood and tears for the great Han Empire. The physical body is easily conquered, and the imprint passed down through generations in the bloodline will never be erased. Although the elite of the Qin people are located in the Han region, their hearts are devoted to the great Qin, and the Qin people who are devoted to the great Qin are silently waiting for a great leader who can rival the first emperor. When the great Han Empire was extremely weak, they led them to give it a final blow, reproducing the great Qin and the glory of the Qin people. At that time, all the Qin people who have not seen the sun can openly go out on the streets, speak frankly and honestly that I am a Qin person, and once again sing that immortal war song together. Jiujiu Lao Qin, restore my rivers and mountains. Blood never dries, death never rests. To the west lies the great Qin, rising like the sun. 100 years of national hatred, the vast sea is difficult to calm. The world is in turmoil, where can we find peace? Qin Yurushi, who competes with you for dominance. Our story also starts from here. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Born as the Holy Double Eyes Qin Hao. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Born as the Holy Double Eyes Qin Hao. Chapter 1. Born as a holy eye, Qin Hao, my head hurts so much. Qin Hao rubbed his cracked head while trying to open his eyes. Finally, he broke free from the constraints of darkness and reluctantly opened his eyes. After opening his eyes, Qin Hao felt everything around him quietly and carefully, only to find himself lying on a soft and luxurious big bed. Hey, where is this? Qin Hao looked around in confusion as he was in a very classical room with a strong smell of traditional Chinese medicine. The room is decorated very grand, with light gauze swaying in the wind, sandalwood fragrance refreshing and pleasant, and the sunshine outside the window warm and cozy. Are you dreaming? Qin Hao, who was somewhat puzzled, pinched his face hard, and a burst of pain from the central nervous system told Qin Hao that all of this was true. Based on my physical condition, at such a close distance, it's impossible for me to be okay. Is it because I've crossed over? Traversing is a supernatural phenomenon that cannot be explained, nor can it be explained. There is no reason, and no return ticket. Once you have truly traveled, there seems to be no other way besides accepting it, unless you are willing to experiment with death. Of course, no one would be so foolish. When the idea of crossing over appeared, Qin Hao was first shocked, then turned into ecstasy. Qin Hao is not like other adventurers who are too sentimental. As soon as he travels, he desperately wants to wear it back and always uses excuses such as filial piety to his parents. Qin Hao believes in his parents who love him the most. If he knew about his travels, he would definitely feel happy for himself, because at least he no longer had to be tormented by illness. In his past life, Qin Hao suffered from severe congenital heart disease, and he didn't know which day he would die. Every time the disease occurred, it was a torment that made life more difficult for him than death. In his past life, Qin Hao had a mentality of earning a day by living, and had been struggling to survive. The attending doctor said he wouldn't live until he was 10 years old, but he managed to survive until his 3rd year of high school. After receiving the college admission letter, Qin Hao encountered a little girl running a red light while picking up toys on his way home. Not far away, a large truck was speeding towards him. A very old-fashioned crossing section. Qin Hao has seen and mocked many time travel novels. Why is it that he keeps writing about the scene of a car accident, so he can't let go of the little girl and the car. Qin Hao also asked himself, what would he really do when encountering such a thing? The answer is, whoever loves to be this bad guy will be the one. Anyway, I'm not doing this stupid thing. Although he said he was firm, when he actually met her, Qin Hao instinctively pushed the little girl away, and it's time to travel. Where have I traveled? The torrential flow or the immortal flow? I love the three kingdoms the most in different dynasties and generations. Will I travel to the three kingdoms? In addition, novel worlds like Do Putsang Qi, Do Luo Continent, Shitian, and Perfect World seem to be good too. Thinking about it, Qin Hao's saliva flowed out and he quickly waved his hand to wipe it away, which also made Qin Hao notice his hand. These are a pair of white and tender hands, with delicate, rosy, and glossy skin. It's not the original body, it seems like a soul piercing. But is this a hand that a man, or rather a boy, should have? Suddenly, a terrifying idea appeared in Qin Hao's mind. After shaking his head vigorously, Qin Hao, with a hint of luck, quickly lifted the blanket and was horrified to find that his legs were also very white and tender, just like a girl's legs. Did I encounter the transformation flow? With a nervous heart, Qin Hao slowly got out of bed and came to the wooden table with bronze mirrors placed. Looking at his own appearance in the mirror, it was a face that belonged only to children aged 8 or 9. He was extremely handsome, not like a boy, and full of elegance. Qin Hao's face turned white with fear, and he breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it's male and there's no transgender. If I really went from a man to a woman, would I have the courage to commit suicide? Qin Hao couldn't help but feel a chill, and his body was covered in goosebumps. After calming down, Qin Hao carefully observed his own appearance in this life. In his past life, Qin Hao was also a handsome young man, but due to illness, he was like a medicine jar and naturally couldn't feel where he was handsome. Upon careful observation, Qin Hao was truly captivated by his own self in this lifetime, not only satisfied, but also extremely satisfied. How can one describe one's own beauty in this life? It's simply top-notch, Xiao Jingtai. At such a young age, Qin Hao had a delicate and unattractive handsome face. The face was not only beautiful, but also cute. It was so cute that Qin Hao's heart was intoxicated. Especially those charismatic big eyes, like pearls, are simply mesmerizing and not worth it. Ha! My own eyes are actually double pupils. What is double pupils? The simplest explanation is that there are two pupils in one eye. In modern medical interpretation, double pupils belong to the condition where the pupil undergoes adhesive distortion, changing from an O shape to an infinity shape, but it does not affect the beam of light entering the brain. Therefore, this type of double pupil is also known as a pair of eyes. Because it is ugly and unattractive, modern medicine believes it is a phenomenon of early cataracts, which is a deformity. In ancient mythology, it is recorded that anyone with double pupils is a saint. Newborn babies with double pupils will be treated differently as natural saints, with a focus on cultivation. The double pupils they possess are those with a large pupil in their eyes but a small one inside, which is not only majestic but also extremely charming. This is the true saint's double pupils. However, among the modern population of 6 billion, there is no such pair of eyes, so the medical community believes that the sage's double pupils were a fantasy created by ancient people. Regardless of whether others believe in the existence of the sage's double pupils or not, Qin Hao believed it anyway, and now that he has the sage's double pupils, does this also mean that he will also be a born saint? Qin Hao was extremely excited in his heart. As soon as he traveled, he realized that he might become a saint in the future, and there was no better feeling than this. Just as Qin Hao was lost in thought, there was a sound of footsteps outside the door. A handsome and mature middle-aged man led a doctor with white hair and a medical box on his back, and the two of them slowly walked in. The middle-aged uncle saw Qin Hao get out of bed and immediately ran over with great joy. He held Qin Hao in his arms and looked around, as if he was afraid that Qin Hao might lose a certain part. After a while of exploration, the middle-aged man found that Qin Hao was safe and sound, and laughed happily as he looked up to the sky. Ha ha ha, my Hao is indeed blessed with great fortune and destiny. Such a small calamity must be a test from heaven on my son. It is truly a blessing from heaven on my Qin family, and heaven on my Qin Wen. Hao. Qins. It seems that the name of this generation is indeed Qin Hao. Qin Hao thought to himself. Haozhe, Rishianya, the son of the sun, the name of the king, and one of the most beloved names of travelers. Although it may share the same name as many people, this name is still a name from the pre-Qin Haoshi era, with its imposing and high-end atmosphere. This is called fate. While the middle-aged uncle was exploring Qin Hao also looked at the middle-aged uncle in front of him. Although the uncle in front of me has a burly and majestic appearance, his face is pale and there are deep black marks in his eye sockets. It is evident that he has accumulated a lot of work and is also melancholic and indignant. This uncle should be my father in this lifetime, not bad, quite stylish. In the eyes of this uncle named Qin Wen, Qin Hao saw a deep concern and love, which was often seen in the eyes of his father in his past life. The doctor behind Qin Wen stared at Qin Hao, frowning and saying, "Wait, let me diagnose my virtuous nephew again first. Dr. Zhang, what other illnesses does my son have?" Qin Wen quickly asked. "Your nephew's external injuries have indeed healed," said Dr. Zhang, stroking his white beard and frowning. But there was a hint of unfamiliarity in the look in the eyes of the wise nephew towards Lord Qin, fearing that his memory might be damaged. Qin Hao was suddenly shocked in his heart. "Master, such a small detail has been seen, it seems that he can only pretend to lose his memory." After Zhang Xin checked Qin Hao's pulse and confirmed that there were no abnormalities in his pupils, he nodded to Qin Wen and said, "His mind has completely recovered." Qin Wen took a deep breath and finally let go of his suspended heart. "Dear nephew, do you know who this person in front of you is?" Zhang Xin looked at Qin Hao but pointed at Qin Wen and asked gently. Qin Hao said truthfully, "Although I don't remember who this uncle is, I guess he must be my father." After listening to Qin Hao's answer, Qin Wen's reaction was unusually intense. "Dr. Zhang, did you hear that? Hao said I am his father and said I am his father." "I heard you. If you keep shaking, I'll break my old bones for you." "Don't get excited yet, I haven't finished asking yet." "Oh, doctor, keep asking." Qin Wen awkwardly let go of his hand, but his face was still filled with joy. Qin Hao looked at Qin Wen strangely. As for being so excited, was his body a fool before? Never called him dad before. Dr. Zhang didn't know what Qin Hao was thinking and continued to ask, "Dear nephew, let me ask you, there are 10 birds on the tree. Your father shot them with a bow and arrow, and shot down 1 bird. How many more birds are there on the tree?" "Not a single one left." Qin Hao answered easily, but could not help roast in his heart. How can we test intelligence by asking about shooting birds? Can't we let go of the poor little bird? How could it never have happened? Before Dr. Zhang could answer, Qin Wen on one side anxiously gestured and said, "Hao, think carefully. Shoot down one of the 10, how many are left? What is the difference between 10 and 1? 0. Looking at Qin Wen with an anxious expression and still making gestures, Qin Hao felt a bit puzzled. Is the intelligence of people in this world so low? How could it be 0? Think about it again. 10 minus. Upon seeing this, Dr. Zhang interrupted Qin Wen's words and sighed, "Hey, it seems we've been overthinking it. I have always wanted to write a novel about traveling through the 3 kingdoms, but now I have finally started writing it. This book is not a normal 3 kingdoms travel story, but a summoning of the 3 kingdoms to dominate." Although this idea was inspired by the summoning of the 3 kingdoms, Liu Xiang will definitely not plagiarize Swordsman. No matter how well others write, it is others, and self-creation is one's own. The writing style, summoning rules, battle routes, and summoning generals of this book are all different. There may be some differences in the harem, but not too many. I hope everyone likes and supports it. Liu Xiang will definitely do her best to bring you a different journey of summoning the three kingdoms. Thank you. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Peak Summoning System Startup. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3 Peak Summoning System Startup Chapter 2. Peak Summoning System Launch. Hey, I'm really anxious about your intelligence. Qin Hao looked at the two of them speechlessly and explained helplessly, there are 10 birds on the tree, and one has already been shot down. The other birds have naturally been startled away. How could there be other birds? Upon hearing Qin Hao's words, both of them were momentarily stunned and then ecstatic. Congratulations to Brother Qin, your virtuous nephew has been able to draw analogies. It is evident that you have not only survived this great calamity, but also completely recovered from your previous illness. It is truly gratifying. Zhang Xin smiled and arched his hand at Qin Yuan, congratulating him. Same joy, same joy. Fortunately, with the miraculous hand of Dr. Zhang returning to life, Hao was able to safely overcome this calamity. Dr. Zhang, please accept the bow of Boren. But Qin Hao had a sudden inspiration. Is Boren his father's character? It seems that I have traveled back to ancient times. Old illness. Dementia. I haven't heard of anyone with double pupils, who is such a fool. Qin Hao also followed Qin Yuan and arched his hand, thanking him, thank you, Dr. Zhang, for saving your life. Qin Yuan nodded contentedly when he saw his son obedient and sensible, and then asked, Hao, do you remember nothing? Well, father. Seeing how much Qin Yuan cared about him, Qin Hao knew that his future would be very comfortable, so he directly accepted this cheap father. Besides, this body is already someone else's son's, so it's natural for oneself to take responsibility for occupying the magpie's nest. It's also appropriate to call someone a dad, so what's the point of being too sentimental? Qin Yuan sighed and said, hey, it's good if you don't remember. Being able to save your life is already a blessing from your ancestors. Forget the past, forget it. Qin Hao saw Qin Yuan's expression, so he carefully asked, Father, I wasn't a fool before, was I? Ha! Qin Yuan was taken aback and asked in surprise, how does Hao know? Qin Hao hesitated for a moment and then asked, a child's idiocy should not be innate, but rather acquired. Hao, have you really lost your memory? I dare not deceive my father. How did you know? Qin Hao's mouth twitched when he heard this. Is there any need to ask? This kind of scene is already a mess on the internet. The three most popular identities among travelers are Fool, Scrapwood Young Master, and Dragon Proud Tian Style Second Generation. It seems that I am a combination of the three. However, this idiot is not born with everything, but rather acquired. He wouldn't have been envied for carrying heavy pupils, would he? It seems that the wise nephew has not only recovered from his foolish illness, but has also benefited from misfortune and become more intelligent than before. It is true that Chong Tongzi cannot be treated with reason. Yes, it must be like this. Qin Yuan lightly stroked his beard and smiled lightly. If your mother knew, she would definitely be extremely happy. Qin Hao was taken aback and asked with some sadness, Father, is my mother already gone? Being able to give birth to such a peerless demon like himself is probably a beautiful woman. Although Qin Hao has no feelings for this cheap old mother, he has taken over his son's body. It is only right to feel sorry for him. Upon hearing this, Qin Yuan suddenly blew his nose and stared angrily. Bastard, for the past 5 years, your mother has been fasting vegetarian every day, burning incense and praying, just to help you recover as soon as possible. But you, the rebellious son, are doing well. As soon as you recover, you cursed your mother, seeing that your father did not teach you. Qin Hao couldn't help but smile bitterly. He had a crooked idea, so he quickly waved his hand and awkwardly explained. Father, don't be angry. The child has just recovered from a serious illness and is deeply concerned about his mother, so he has decided to switch sides. By the way, Father, where is my mother? I want to see her. Hey, look, I'm overjoyed for my father. I forgot to inform your mother. It's for my father, isn't it? I'll go now. As Qin Wen spoke, he immediately ran out and looked at his father, who had been bustling with life. A trace of nostalgia flashed in Qin Hao's eyes. If it weren't for his illness in the previous life, would my dad have been so energetic? The family in this lifetime should have a good future due to their own recovery. Anyway, let me experience the happy life of crossing the ancient times and becoming a young master again. Dr. Zhang looked at Qin Wen's departing figure and stroked his beard, saying with a smile, "It's been a long time since I've seen Lord Qin so happy. My virtuous nephew must strive to make progress in the future and strive for success as soon as possible, so as not to disappoint Lord Qin's hard work. Oh, pity the hearts of parents all over the world. Qin Hao will never let his parents worry about Qin Hao again in the future." After listening to Qin Hao's words, Dr. Zhang was stunned. After chewing and savoring it repeatedly, he couldn't help but exclaim, "Oh, if my son Zhongjing had a wise nephew who was half sensible, I would have died in peace." Zhongjing. Why does this name sound so familiar, surnamed Zhang? Is it here? May I ask Dr. Zhang, what is his current age? Qin Hao did not ask who the living emperor was. In ancient times, the name of an emperor was a taboo, and ordinary people dared not call it by name. The imperial title was also posthumously conferred by the new emperor after his death, so asking for it was meaningless. Although Qin Hao, who had lost all his memory, didn't quite understand what he wanted to do with these things, Dr. Zhang replied truthfully, "Now is the 3rd year of Guanghe. 3 years of Guanghe. 3 years of Guanghe. 3 years of Guanghe." Qin Hao kept muttering in his mouth, his eyes getting brighter and brighter. He already knew where and when he was. Guanghe was the reign title of Emperor Ling of Han in the late Eastern Han dynasty, and the 3rd year of Guanghe was in the year 180 AD. That year, Zhang Jiao officially founded the Taiping Church and spread its teachings on a large scale, silently accumulating strength for the massive uprising 4 years later. As soon as the year of Jiazi arrived, Zhang Jiao would give a resounding slap to the corrupt dynasty of the Eastern Han, exhausting the last trace of Han strength. At the end of the Eastern Han dynasty, there were 3 kingdoms with endless wars. During the 3 kingdoms, Zhao Yun, Zhou Yu, Zhuge Liang, Qin Hao, have arrived. Qin Hao exclaimed excitedly in his heart. Qin Hao has been fond of military history since childhood, especially the 3 kingdoms, and is well versed in this era of heroes and fierce generals. This is an era where danger and opportunity coexist, with magnificent and exciting waves. Since we have come to this era, if we don't embark on a career, how can we live up to the status of a great man and a traveler? I want to dominate the world. Thinking of this, Qin Hao couldn't help but show an excited expression on his face. He seemed to have seen himself standing on a high earthen platform, with a dense and neatly arranged army of 100,000 soldiers below, waving their arms and shouting, "Victory is guaranteed." A row of fierce generals stood respectfully behind Qin Hao, all of whom were famous generals from the 3 kingdoms period, including Zhao Yun, Lv Bu, Huang Zhong, and Ma Chao. Suddenly, an electronic sound without any emotion rang out in Qin Hao's mind, startling him. Ding dong, the host's ambition to dominate the world is ignited, triggering the system's recognition conditions. The peak summoning system is activated, and recognition begins. Please concentrate and don't think recklessly. Aha, did I encounter a system stream? Qin Hao exclaimed in surprise. Countdown starts, 99985, 4, 3, 2, 1. Master recognition is complete. Welcome to the system space. Outside the system space, Dr. Zhang inexplicably looked at Qin Hao, who was sometimes excited and sometimes excited. Isn't it necessary to be so excited, just tell you a year name. After Qin Hao fainted without any warning, Dr. Zhang was startled and quickly helped Qin Hao back to bed. Feeling his pulse pleasant, seeing that it was stable and normal, it was confirmed that Qin Hao had only fainted. Only then did Dr. Zhang feel relieved. Within the conscious space. Hello host, the peak summoning system is at your service. There seems to be an iron rule in the world of travelers, which is that as travelers, there will always be one cheat or multiple. Whether it's magic treasures, martial arts, artifacts, or grandpas, there will definitely be cheats that will provide convenience for the development of travelers or their early stages. There is even a saying that a walkthrough without cheats is not a good walkthrough. Qin Hao knew that this peak summoning system was probably his own cheat, so he asked, what is the purpose of this peak summoning system? The summoning rules in this book are also different from summoning fierce generals. Those who are used to summoning fierce generals may not be accustomed to the summoning rules in this book. Therefore, we hope that everyone can carefully read the summoning rules, which is easier to accept and associate. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. The Greatest Emperor in History. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. The Greatest Emperor in History. Chapter 3. The Greatest Emperor in History. This system can assist the host in becoming the greatest emperor in history. The host can use this system to summon all the literary and military officials in the history of Chinese civilization in their peak state, assisting themselves in governing the world. Wait. Upon hearing this, Qin Hao quickly called for a stop, looking incredulous and excited. Are you saying that I can summon all the literary and military officials from the Wei, Jin, Sui, Tang, 5 dynasties, 2 Song, Yuan, Ming, and Qing dynasties to assist me in the late Han dynasty? Qin Hao asked excitedly. Yes, I'll go, it's against the sky. Qin Hao seemed to see himself once again standing on a high earthen platform, with a row of fierce generals standing behind him. In addition to local generals such as Zhao Yuan and Lu Bu, other era generals such as Yu Fei, Shui Rengui, and Ran Min were also among them. After careful consideration, Qin Hao asked in confusion, what principle were these generals summoned using? They can't be transformed out of thin air, can they? There are 2 principles of summoning. One is to directly modify the memory of locally suitable characters, as well as implant abilities. The second is to create the summoned characters based on the data in the database, and then implant their temperament and behavior style from their past lives. Due to the energy loss of the second method, the system generally uses the first method for summoning. In a word, no matter which of these 2 ways of identity implantation, the summoned characters are absolutely the same as the heroes in history. Will those summoning characters always listen to me? Qin Hao asked again. There is no absolute loyalty or betrayal in the world. After being summoned, the summoned character will break free from the control of the system and have their own independent personality. Whether or not they can maintain loyalty all the time depends on the host's employing methods and personality charm, so summoning characters carries the risk of betrayal. It's really troublesome. Qin Hao rubbed his temples and said with a headache, forget it, try to summon some loyal people. By the way, can those people who were already dead before the Eastern Han dynasty be summoned? Of course, that's possible, but it's not a summoning, it's about resurrecting it, which involves more complex operating procedures, and the resurrection function is only activated at level 15 of the system. Reminder to the host that due to energy depletion, the system has been downgraded to level 0, and all functions except summoning have been turned off. Upon hearing this, Qin Hao quickly asked, so how can I upgrade? Don't worry, this is related to whether top commanders like Han Xin, Bai Qi, and Sun Wu can belong to themselves. The process of summoning generals by the host is the process of system upgrade. Summoning one person elevates the system by 1 level. To reach level 2, the host must summon 2 more people. And so on, 100 levels and 100 people. As the level increases, the system will also unlock some functions, and each level will reward the host with a chance to draw a prize after sorting out the logical relationship described by the system. Qin Hao frowned and asked, summoning 1 at the beginning leads to a level up, while summoning 100 at the end leads to a level up. Isn't that harder to level up later on? Qin Hao estimated in his heart that activating the resurrection function is level 15, increasing from 1 to 15 equals 120, which means summoning 120 people is necessary to activate the resurrection function. 120 people, astronomical numbers. Yes, even the system cannot help Qin Hao in this regard, it must rely on Qin Hao himself. How should I summon this is what Qin Hao wants to know the most. There is no free lunch in the world, and he doesn't believe that the system can summon without limits. There are 2 ways for the host to summon. One is to use summoning points for regular summoning, and the other is to use summoning cards for special summoning, summoning points. Summoning cards. Qin Hao urgently asked, how can I use them? The host currently does not have a summoning card, so they can only use summoning points for regular summoning. When the host performs a regular summoning for the first time, the system will give away 50 summoning points. 50 o'clock is too little, isn't it? Qin Hao extended his hand and said with a smile, let's discuss it carefully. Can we give more? Host, don't take any advantage, don't forget. Yes, why not? I'm joking, don't mind, hee hee. Qin Hao awkwardly laughed, while the system continued to explain. Whether it is a regular summon or a special summon, 5 historical characters will randomly appear, and their abilities will depend on the host's summoning conditions. Normally, points will be paid on the host, and character abilities will fluctuate between the bottom 5 points and the top 5 points. And special summoning needs to be determined based on the summoning card level used by the host. The host chooses to remove 2 people and randomly summons one of the remaining 3. This character will initially recognize the host as the Lord, helping the host unify the world. Qin Hao had a rough understanding of the summoning rules in his heart, so he asked again, how can I earn summoning points and summoning cards? One is to complete the tasks issued by the system and obtain summoning points based on the amount of completed tasks. The other is for the host to obtain war points with their combat skills, and then exchange them for summoning points. War points must be obtained through war, with 1 point for every enemy soldier killed and 1 point for every soldier captured. The exchange ratio between summoning points and war points is 1 to 100. Upon hearing this, Qin Hao immediately said in distress, I'm only a little old now. How can I go to the battlefield? Can't I earn summoning points before the chaotic times start? It is recommended that the host earn summoning points by completing system tasks. Take a look at the system tasks. Qin Hao sighed. As soon as Qin Hao finished speaking, a huge light screen appeared in front of him. As he walked up, he saw that it read, Main Task 1. Growth. The host rewards 1 summoning point for every increase in their 5-dimensional attributes through autonomous learning and exercise. Note. A great monarch, especially the founding emperor, must possess excellent talents in all aspects in order to govern the country and manage the military well. The candidate for the strongest emperor in history selected by this system will face extremely difficult tests for the host, so it is recommended that the host take a comprehensive discovery route and not deviate from the subject. Main Task 2. Main Task 3. Why can't you see other tasks? Qin Hao asked curiously. The host is now alone and has not established its own power, so most tasks are not open. And one more question, why choose me? Isn't there anyone else on Earth who is suitable? The reason why this system chooses the host is because the host is the only candidate with imperial destiny, which best meets the recognition requirements of cultivating the greatest monarch in history. In this system, Emperor's destiny. Qin Hao looked incredulous and shook his head, saying, how could I possibly have this thing? I got it wrong. In his past life, Qin Hao was tormented by illness for 20.1 years. Is this the fate that a person with an emperor's mandate should have? Do the hosts still remember their past birth year, month, day, and exact minute and second? Of course I remember. I was born at 9:05 a.m. on September 5, 1995. At this point in time, Qin Hao could never forget it. Due to the timing being too coincidental, the doctor who delivered Qin Hao jokingly claimed that he could become a national leader in the future. What about the outcome? Not to mention the leader, Qin Hao couldn't even live a normal life. He cannot play basketball, run, fall in love, or even get angry. Once his emotions fluctuate too much, Qin Hao's heart disease will relapse, followed by endless pain. The girl he likes voluntarily confesses to Qin Hao, but whether it's for himself or her, Qin Hao can only refuse with determination. After the illness, Qin Hao was in excruciating pain, but he still had to smile and comfort his crying mother. Qin Hao has also been thinking, his heart is clearly very fragile, but why is it not broken? Later on, Qin Hao realized that none of these could defeat me, so what else could he defeat himself? No one can do it. My fate is up to me. Seeing Qin Hao's disbelief, the system explained, according to the mystical records of the Chinese civilization of Earth civilization, the person born on this day has the destiny of the 9-5 supreme sovereigns, and is a born emperor who possesses dragon energy. Why did I do so badly in my past life? Qin Hao said angrily. Qin Hao lived for 20.1 years in his past life, so it can be said that there was no hope at all, but now someone tells him that you have the imperial destiny and should be born emperor. Who can believe this? Well, maybe you're really unlucky, host. Hee hee. Qin Hao gave a bitter smile and couldn't help feeling down. Ding dong. Suddenly, a mechanical prompt sound came over without any warning, startling Qin Hao. The host's hidden skill, Destiny, awakens. Effect 1. My heart is as indestructible as iron. All the pain in the past life ultimately honed into a heart as strong as a rock. In this life, any blow from the enemy will not affect the host, and it can protect the generals under its command from the opponent's skills. This effect is a permanent passive effect. Effect 2, hard work never fails. The host has tasted all the hardships of the world in his past life, and in this life, heaven returns the host with sweetness for a lifetime. Whenever the host encounters a life or death crisis, heaven brings good luck to the host, which is a passive effect and can only be activated once a year. The protagonist's journey to dominate the world in this book will be very difficult. The reason for setting it this way is because they feel that having such a big cheat, if they don't set it harder and don't make their opponent stronger, it really doesn't have much meaning. For a story with turning points, suspense, and differences is the most exciting story. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. First Summoning of Guiguzi. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. First Summoning of Guiguzi. Chapter 4. First Summoning of Guiguzi. I was really forced in my past life. Even awakening a skill is so tragic. Qin Hao sneered bitterly and asked again, but the effect of this skill doesn't seem to be very useful. The host is unaware of the blessings in the midst of blessings. Destiny is the strongest skill that surpasses all other skills. The strongest skill. You're teasing me. Qin Hao laughed, looking incredulous, but the system prompt came again. Ding dong, the host's first awakening skill can be rewarded with one summoning card. However, due to the host's awakening of the strongest skill, Heavenly Destiny, a golden summoning card is specially rewarded. Upon hearing this from the system, Qin Hao realized that he had really underestimated the effectiveness of the skill. After all, the rewarded golden summoning card looks very impressive at first glance, indicating that Destiny is definitely extraordinary. What is a golden summoning card? Qin Hao asked. Summoning cards come in 3 levels: bronze, silver, and gold. The gold summoning card is the highest level summoning card, and the host can summon the top talent in a designated field. Although this gold summoning card is powerful, it only has one card. What should I do after using it? So Qin Hao also needs to find a way to earn summoning points. It seems that at present, I can only rely on growth tasks to obtain summoning points. System, check my current 5 dimensions, and I hope it's not too high. The lower, the more summoning points I earn. Sorry, as the system is still at level 0, the capability detection function has not been opened yet. It needs to be upgraded to level 1 before it can be activated. Upon hearing this, Qin Hao was immediately dumbfounded. He didn't expect that he couldn't even detect attributes. Isn't this forcing him to summon to upgrade the system? Forget it, summon it. Currently, the host has 50 summoning points and a gold summoning card. Would you like to summon them? Well, I need to use the gold summoning card for summoning. What talents can be summoned from 50 summoning points? So it's better to save it for now. Please select the summoning realm for the host. After contemplating, Qin Hao said directly, teaching and nurturing talents. Host confirmed. This is a top talent in a field. Are you sure you don't want top generals or military commanders? These talents will be more helpful to the host's hegemony. Qin Hao was not swayed by the system's persuasion and said with a faint smile, there are still 4 years left until the chaotic era. Even if we summon those top talents, how can we be loyal to a child? So it's better to summon a good teacher to improve ourselves. The annotation after the growth task doesn't mean I will face a great test. It suggests that I take the path of being omnipotent before. So how can I do without a good teacher? By improving my own attributes and summoning enough points, I can still summon powerful talents. Okay, summoning begins. Ding dong. The host uses the gold summoning card to summon top talents in special teaching and talent cultivation. Character 1. Wu-Wei Sage Laozi Li Heir, Commander-in-Chief, Military Force, Intelligence, Politics, Charm 100, Education 100. Seeing that he had actually exposed Laozi, Qin Hao was immediately surprised and asked, isn't it impossible to resurrect prehistoric characters before reaching level 14? And why are all attributes question marks? The system explains calmly that the gold summoning card belongs to the highest level of special summoning, so the system level can be ignored. As for the attribute issue, it is because there is too little information about the opponent's commander and force, and the system level is too low to predict. I see. Qin Hao said slowly, I am a teacher of Confucius and a saint of Taoism. 100-point education is indeed well deserved, but what I need is a teacher who can teach me how to lead troops in battle, so I'll pass it. Character 2, Confucian Sage Confucius. Commander-in-Chief, Military Force, Intelligence 98, Politics 90, Charm 105, Education 100. The appearance of Confucius almost scared Qin Hao to pee. He is the master of the world in later generations and has influenced Chinese characters for over 2,000 years. As soon as Confucius was mentioned, he came out. However, Confucius did not have any experience in unifying troops, and his political views were too idealistic. My goal is to become an all-around monarch, not a utopian educator, so pass. If the Confucian scholars of this era knew that Qin Hao had simply passed Confucius, would they have drowned Qin Hao with saliva? Sun Wu, the sage of the military. Commander 105, Military Prowess, Intelligence 99, Politics 90, Charm 99, Education 100. Sun Wu is a legendary military saint. The author of Sun Tzu's Art of War. Even after more than 2,000 years, major military academies around the world still regard his military skills as a treasure, which shows how high his military command skills are. Sun Tzu can consider it. Let's keep it for now and see what comes later. Qin Hao suppressed the urge to select a military saint and then proceeded to look at the next character. Liu Buwei, the Prime Minister of the Great Qin Dynasty, with a commander of 95, military strength of 53, intelligence of 98, politics of 99, charm of 88, and education of 99. Why is Qin Shi Huang's rumored father also on the list, and LV Bui's 5 dimensions are displayed, which is quite fitting, but the education is only slightly lower than the 3 saints. How could this be? Did the detection go wrong? How could LV Bui's education possibly reach 99? Qin Hao asked in confusion. The system is impossible to detect errors. The data shows that LV Bui has trained Emperor Qin Shi Huang, who is known for his education attribute of 99 points. Upon hearing this, Qin Hao was immediately speechless. How could he forget about Qin Shi Huang, this great boss? The intelligence and politics of the commander-in-chief are not low, but the military force is a bit low. Qin Hao shook his head and continued to look at the next one. Wang Su. Commander-in-Chief, Military Force, Intelligence, Politics, Charm, Education 100. Wang Su. Who is this amazing person? Except for the display of 100 educational attributes, all other attributes are actually question marks. Qin Hao looked at the large question marks and asked in confusion. But how could a great educator with an education of 100 never even hear of it himself? The information shows that this is Guiguzi from the Zhongheng family. Who? Qin Hao asked again with some uncertainty. Guiguzi, it's him, summon Guiguzi Wang Su. Qin Hao said decisively. Ding dong, special summon of Guiguzi Wang Su, implanted with the identity of the 10th generation Guiguzi Wang Su of the Zhongheng family. Who is Guiguzi? Qin Hao knows too well, he is a mythical figure. Guiguzi's name is Wang Su, also known as Xuanwizi. He is the founder of the Zhongheng school, and actually one of the famous representatives of other schools of thought such as military and Taoist schools. Due to his seclusion in Guiguzi, he calls himself Guiguzi. He has written 14 military books titled Guiguzi that have been passed down from generation to generation. It is said that Guiguzi had a profound understanding of the world and was able to balance the academic pursuits of 100 schools of thought, which was beyond the reach of a single person. One is theology. The latitude and longitude of the sun and stars, divination and gossip, budgeting for worldly wisdom, and being very precise. The second is military science, which includes 6 strategies and 3 strategies, with endless changes and unpredictable formations and marches. Thirdly, it is a study tour, with extensive memorization and knowledge, a clear understanding of the situation, and a fluent speech, making it difficult for 10,000 people to handle. The fourth is the study of birth, which focuses on cultivating one's character, curing diseases and prolonging life, with profound knowledge. Guiguzi is known as a legendary figure of the ages, skilled in maintaining oneself and nurturing one's character, adept at psychological contemplation, deeply aware of the power of firmness and softness, proficient in the art of vertical and horizontal movements, and possessing unique wisdom in understanding the heavens. His disciples include military strategists such as Sun Bin and Pang Wan, strategists Zhang Yi, Su Qin. Guigu is mysterious, with a society full of ups and downs, the natural universe, and the mysteries of heaven and earth. His talents are seen everywhere, and all scholars are immersed in everything. I have obtained countless disciples and disciples, all of whom hold great importance and make great achievements in the world. For over 2,000 years, military strategists have revered him as a military saint, the Zhongheng family has revered him as their ancestor, fortune-tellers and fortune-tellers have revered him as their ancestor, and Taoism has ranked him alongside Laozi as the King Zen master. Guiguzi can truly be called the ancestor of all saints and the ancestor of all saints. Qin Hao's demand for his future is to become an all-around monarch who can lead troops and govern the country. Throughout the 5,000 years of China, only Guiguzi is qualified to be Qin Hao's teacher, and is currently the most suitable teacher for Qin Hao. In terms of commanding, as the teachers of Sun Bin and Pang Wan, 2 legendary figures in the Warring States period, Guiguzi's ability to command troops is absolutely not weak. In terms of military force, Qin Hao can only refer to his familiarity with the bright moon of the Qin dynasty. In it, Guiguzi's 2 disciples are the sword Saint Gai Nye and the early villain Wei Zhuang, so theoretically, the military force should not be too low. In terms of intelligence, there is no need for Qin Hao to say anything. What is a scholar of heaven and earth? What does it mean to connect heaven and earth? You can tell by looking at Guiguzi. Guiguzi not only learned extensively from 100 schools of thought, but also mastered various schools of thought, making him an unparalleled figure. Qin Hao even doubted whether Guiguzi would be interested in him without a system. In terms of politics, as the pioneer of the political and diplomatic movement, Qin Hao couldn't think of any reason why Guiguzi's politics were only 100, as he was able to write such a masterpiece with profound significance for political diplomacy. Ding dong, the system has summoned one character, upgraded to level 1, and the attribute detection function is activated, rewarding the host with one chance to draw a prize. As soon as the detection function was activated, the attributes of the summoned character could finally be known. Excitedly, Qin Hao rubbed his hands and suppressed his excitement, saying, "This is the summoning." After the host leaves the system space, after a long time, Guiguzi will actively come to their door. That's good. At this moment, the prompt sound rang again, and upon hearing the content, Qin Hao's face immediately darkened. The first attribute of the protagonist is very powerful, very powerful. As for how powerful it is, we will know later. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Kengda's Balance System. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Kengda's Balance System. Chapter 5. Kengda's Balance System. Ding dong, due to the host summoning, the balance system will start automatically, and the summoning will begin. Balanced Character 1, the Divine Xiang Yu of the Chu Army, with a command of 96, a force of 90, an intelligence of 87, a politics of 76, and a charm of 89. Xiang Yu, a descendant with the identity of Overlord Xiang Yu, is currently a wanted criminal in the Han Empire. He is currently wandering the world and is 53 years old, carrying 2 characters. Balanced Character 2, General Huang Chao of Tianbao, with a command of 93, military strength of 86, intelligence of 95, politics of 78, and charm of 92. Age 28, carrying 2 characters, implanted with the identity of a talented commoner. Balanced Character 3, Taiping Heavenly King Hong Xiuquan, Commander 82, Force 79, Intelligence 87, Politics 90, Charm 89. Age 33, carrying 3 characters, implanted as Taiping followers. Ding dong, the system has detected that Guiguzi has the attribute of a hermit and will not serve or assist anyone. This conflicts with the loyalty setting of the golden summoning card. Therefore, Guiguzi will carry a future disciple of the Zongheng family and give the host a chance to subdue him. We hope the host will cherish this opportunity. Ding dong, the balance system summons 3 people, carrying 7 people, plus Guiguzi carrying 1 person, for a total of 11 people. The system will level up 3 times in a row, rewarding the host with 3 lucky draw opportunities. The host has a total of 4 lucky draw opportunities. Ding dong, currently the system is at level 4, and upgrading to level 5 requires summoning 3 more people. Ding dong, the attribute insight function is activated. In the future, once the summoning skills of generals are activated, the host will receive notification as soon as possible. A series of prompt sounds made Qin Hao dizzy, and it took him a long time to fully digest the prompt content after the end. Qin Hao turned his head with an unpleasant expression and stuttered, "Just now, what was the situation?" The balance system has been activated. The main focus of this system is to turn the host's big eyes into the greatest emperor in history, and without strong opponents, how can the host's strength be highlighted? The balance system is a test of quality, but I only summoned 1 person, and the balance system unexpectedly gave me 3 explosions, along with 7 unknown ones. This is too much, too damn. Qin Hao shouted loudly, looking hard to accept. The first time it was revealed, 10 were indeed a bit too many, probably due to the high attribute of Guiguzi, which disrupted the balance. Didn't Guiguzi bring 1? It can also be considered a small compensation to the host. Upon hearing this, Qin Hao smiled bitterly and said, "No matter how high you are, you can't outnumber 10 people. And who do you think these people are?" Xiang Yan, the grandfather of the domineering Xiang Yu, defeated the 200,000 Qin army led by the famous General Li Xian of former Qin, and Wang Jian also used 600,000 men and horses to defeat them. Huang Chao, the murderous demon king who defeated the struggling late Tang dynasty with one hand, Hong Xiuquan, almost defeated the great master of the late Qin dynasty. None of these three people are fuel-efficient lamps. They were born together, and the great Han dynasty will not be able to turn the tide. The balance system doesn't care about these things. At the very least, these people can't threaten the host in a short period of time. What about in the future? With their abilities, they are destined to become all the lords along the way, and they will have to face it sooner or later. Qin Hao finally understood the test that the greatest emperor in history faced. If the difficulty coefficient of unifying the world was divided into levels, it would be a hellish level challenge. So the host needs to work hard to enhance themselves. The difficulty of the test you face is not too high, even at the level of hell. If the host's own abilities are not strong enough, they will definitely not be opponents of these people. If they are beaten by hanging, it will be embarrassing. Qin Hao smiled bitterly in his heart. Perhaps in the future, even founding emperors such as Qin Shi Huang, Han Gaozu, Tang Taizong, and Song Taizu would run out and become opponents. The system was going to play at its own pace. "Are you comforting me or hitting me?" Qin Hao said with a bitter smile. "How do I feel that without a system, it would be easier to unify the world?" Qin Hao smiled bitterly and said, "Can I not use this system? It's useless. Even if the host doesn't actively summon, the system still tests the host. It seems that even if you don't want to summon, it won't work." Qin Hao finally understood that regardless of whether he used the system or not, the test of the system's hellish difficulty was still present. If Qin Hao does not summon, it is impossible to pass, and it is impossible to pass solely by summoning. Therefore, it is necessary to recruit a large number of local talents and cooperate with summoning characters in order to confront the balance system of this pit father. The greatest emperor in history, indeed, is not so easy to become. After taking a long breath of turbid air and forcibly dispelling his fear, Qin Hao continued to ask, "Can we investigate the information of the 7 people we carry? If these people are captured by me in the future, can they be subdued?" In addition to summoning characters and local talents, other assistance came to mind, which is to recruit and surrender balanced characters. Insufficient level, unable to explore. As for capturing balanced characters, theoretically it is possible, as long as the host has the ability to capture and persuade them, and can still be trusted to use them. Don't doubt the use of people, don't doubt people. Qin Hao said indifferently, "Scan the 5 dimensions of Guiguzi. I want to see how high his 5 dimensions are. It's amazing that 10 people can be exposed at once." Ding dong, Guiguzi Wang Su, 65 years old, Commander-in-Chief 98, Force 90, Intelligence 105, Politics 100, Charm 99. Upon seeing this attribute, Qin Hao immediately shut up, looking stunned. He had been completely conquered by the gorgeous attributes of Guiguzi. Looking at Guiguzi's extremely exaggerated 5 dimensions, Qin Hao exclaimed, "The total value of all attributes is 492, and the 5 dimensions are all above 90. 2 items have exceeded 100, so no one should be higher than Guiguzi's 5 dimensions, right?" Yes, Guiguzi only has the highest intelligence in history, but his comprehensive attributes are not the highest in history. Is there anyone with higher attributes than Guiguzi? Qin Hao was immediately stunned and muttered to himself, "Yes, after all, there are so many talents in history." However, in terms of intelligence, no one except Guiguzi has the qualification to become the first wise person in history. Does the host still feel at a disadvantage now? I still feel a bit at a disadvantage, but forget it. Qin Hao looked embarrassed and quickly changed the topic, saying, "By the way, can the person carried by Guiguzi be investigated? This person is an unexpected joy, after all, no matter how high the attributes of Guiguzi are, he will not assist him, and this senior brother will be his comrade in arms for the next few decades." The system level is insufficient to explore. Xiang Yu didn't pay much attention and said with a flick of his hand, "Forget it, since it's someone brought over by my future master, I'm sure their attributes won't be low, and they'll know sooner or later. Now let's test my 5 dimensions." Xiang Yu, aged 10 years old, Commander-in-Chief 10, Force 5, Intelligence 18, Politics 15, Charm 80. Attribute: Destiny. After seeing Guiguzi's 5 dimensions, Xiang Yu was stunned. While seeing his own 5 dimensions, Xiang Yu was stunned, but the difference was that one was high and frightening, while the other was low and pitiful. Force 5, it makes sense based on your current age. If it's too big, you can practice again in the future. Charm 80, looking at my current appearance as a demon, 80 is indeed not an exaggeration. With age, it will definitely increase, and my potential for beauty is enormous. But Commander-in-Chief 10, Intelligence 18, Politics 15, is that a divine horse situation? This is too useless. Even if Xiang Yu is killed, he doesn't believe it's himself. This is the attribute that a traveler should have. Previously, Xiang Yu did say that he hoped his attributes would be as low as possible, because the lower his attributes, the more summoning points he would receive. But after seeing such low attributes, Xiang Yu couldn't accept it. How could I be so useless? System, could you please explain to me what's going on? In my past life, I was at least a prospective college student. How could the 5 dimensions be so low? Xiang Yu looked furious and said, "Did I run into a pile of firewood again?" Host, don't get excited. The intelligence represented by the 5 dimensions is not IQ, and the 18-point intelligence is already very high. Xiang Yu was taken aback for a moment, then calmed down and asked, "Intelligence is not intelligence. What is that?" Intelligence does not represent intelligence, which is equivalent to the fact that force does not represent strength. Can a warrior who has brute force but does not understand skills be called a warrior? Xiang Yu was taken aback and nodded, saying, "That's right." How exactly are the 5 dimensions measured? The 5-dimensional detection of the system is determined by factors such as strength, speed, skill, and internal and external skill levels. Intelligence is determined by factors such as IQ, brain speed, knowledge reserves, insight, military literacy, and so on. The commander-in-chief is determined by strategic views, the ability of soldiers to be deployed, the deployment of troops, and so on. Politics is determined by people's livelihood management, law, political skills, political vision, and so on. And charm is determined by factors such as appearance, temperament, aura, reputation, etc. In short, there are many factors that affect the 5-dimensional attributes, and for ordinary people who have not undergone professional learning, besides charm, the 4-dimensional attributes are generally around 10 o'clock. At the age of only 10, the total attributes of the host are 128, far exceeding most people in this world. After hearing the explanation, Xiang Yu's face improved and he muttered to himself, "So that's it. No wonder it's so low, but it's also good. You can get more summoning points." Hey, wait a minute. Did you just talk about internal and external skills? Is there really internal skill in the world? Even before the host has traveled, internal and external skills do exist, but most civilians do not have access to them, so they think they are fake. Ding dong, the host's mental endurance is about to reach its limit. Please leave the system space quickly, otherwise it will affect future intelligence. The host still has 50 summoning points and 4 lottery opportunities left. Do you want to use them? Xiang Yu was shocked when he heard that it would affect his intelligence in the future. He quickly said, "Let's talk about it later. Tell me how to leave quickly." As long as the host leaves the system palace and silently recites to leave in their heart, they can wake up. In the future, the host does not need to enter the system space to contact me, just send a message through their mind, and I will know. Don't worry, the host is not so fast. Before the system could finish speaking, Xiang Yu had already started running, and in an instant, he could no longer see anyone. After leaving the main hall, Xiang Yu quickly silently recited, "Leave and leave," in his heart. Suddenly, a dizziness hit him, and when he opened his eyes again, he returned to the room filled with ancient charm. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Variables and Definites. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 7 Variables and Definites. Chapter 6. Variables and Definites. Jingzhou, Xiangyang, Lumen Mountain. A crane-haired and childlike old man slowly walked out of the door and stood in the courtyard, fully focused on gazing at the vast stars in the sky. Even another middle-aged man approached without noticing, but instead smiled and nodded with interest. The middle-aged man, seeing that the old man had not paid attention to him, looked at Xindo with a strange expression and said, "Senior brother, this celestial phenomenon has not changed much from usual. Why are you like this?" The old man still didn't turn his head and said with a faint smile, "Oh. Can't even you see the changes?" After a moment of silence upon hearing this, the middle-aged man looked at the starry sky and said, "There has been no major change in this celestial phenomenon. The downfall of the Han dynasty has become a definite number, so what is the point of view?" After hearing this, the old man turned to the middle-aged man and gave a mysterious smile, saying, "There has been a big change. From today on, the heavenly mechanism will fall into chaos, and no one can be considered ordinary in the heavenly way. Stargazing is also of no use." The middle-aged man was immediately shocked upon hearing this and quickly asked, "Ah. What is this?" Because, the old man looked up at the starry sky again and said in a deep voice, "Strange numbers have descended." "What?" "Senior brother, the strange number has descended as the chaotic world approaches. The meaning is as clear as ever, you don't need to use it." The middle-aged man's face showed surprise, and he furrowed his brow, making a motion of wiping his neck at the old man. The old man smiled indifferently and looked at the middle-aged man slowly, saying, "Virtue, the arrival of anomalies is not necessarily a bad thing. The end of the Han dynasty has become a foregone conclusion and will not change due to anomalies. And what about after the end of the Han dynasty? Have you seen it?" "Well, my stargazing skills are not as good as my senior brother's, so naturally I can't see that far," the middle-aged man said awkwardly. "Perhaps this anomaly will be the person who will end the chaotic era again and take our tribe to resist the invasion of foreign tribes, but it may not be the same," the old man said with a smile as he stroked his beard. "Senior brother, are you saying this?" the middle-aged man asked unexpectedly. "That's right, I want to include him in my Ghost Valley Gate Wall. Senior brother, I have mastered the rules of the Ghost Valley sect and can only accept 2 disciples in my lifetime. I will not accept them if I have poor qualifications or poor conduct. Senior brother has been waiting for decades, and recently found a piece of beautiful jade in Langya. Isn't it a bit careless to accept another disciple so quickly? If senior brother accepts abnormal numbers as his disciple, what will Langya do? If he misses the best teaching time, even the beautiful jade will become a stubborn stone. Please be cautious, senior brother," the middle-aged man advised. "De Chao, you're still young, so you still have time to wait. I'm already old and can't afford to wait anymore. If I were to take in the odd number as an apprentice, I wouldn't have time to teach the boy from Langya, but there's still you. I only taught him for 4 years, and during these 4 years, you taught the boy from Langya on my behalf. After 4 years, I will teach him personally. That boy will be our common disciple, and when he comes out, he will be called your disciple. What do you think?" The old man looked at the middle-aged man playfully and said softly. The middle-aged man smiled bitterly upon hearing this, and his senior brother was confident that he would not refuse. The Ghost Valley sect is only allowed to accept 2 disciples per person in their lifetime, and the standards for accepting disciples are very high. However, it is difficult to find talented individuals. How could there be so many people joining the Ghost Valley? So from the spring and autumn period to the present, the number of people in Guiguzi has never exceeded double digits, and this generation only consists of the elderly and middle-aged people. And not long ago, the old man finally found a beautiful jade in Langya, Shuzhou, and accepted it as his successor. This son has exceptional qualifications and is self-taught without a teacher. With a little training, he will definitely become famous in the future. This makes the middle-aged man, who is a junior brother, extremely jealous. And now the old man wants to teach this disciple together with him. How could a middle-aged man refuse? The middle-aged man bowed to the old man and said, "Thank you, senior brother." The old man smiled, but in his heart he said, "Junior brother, you have helped me." After slowly opening his eyes, the faint candlelight entered Qin Hao's sight, and it turned out that it was already dark. Moving his body, Qin Hao noticed that his arms seemed to be pressed down by something. He slowly stood up and saw a beautiful woman in splendid clothes lying asleep by his bed. That woman is about 30 years old, and she is truly unparalleled in her beauty. However, her beautiful face is full of fatigue, which is clearly due to her hard work. Qin Hao recognized at a glance that the woman in front of him was definitely his mother for the rest of his life, because there was a 7 or 8 point similarity in the eyebrows between himself and this woman. How could he explain that he was not a mother and son? Oh my goodness, my mother in this life is also so beautiful. She's so much more than 10 streets away from those female celebrities in her past life. How could she be like a mother of a 10-year-old child? Qin Wen's father has a lot of good fortune, but it's not a problem to lie down like this. She might catch a cold. It's better to wake her up. Mother, mother, Qin Hao pushed his mother, calling out softly. After hearing Qin Hao's voice, the woman immediately woke up and looked at him with surprise. She exclaimed excitedly, Hao, my Hao. The woman was extremely excited, her voice trembling, and it was not surprising that she was excited. She had not heard her son speak for 5 years, let alone call herself mother. Hey, mom will always be mom. After sighing in his heart, Qin Hao smiled and said, "It's me, mother. Hao is fine. Hao, you're finally well. You're so worried about your mother." The woman excitedly embraced Qin Hao and cried. "Mother, don't cry. You should be happy when your child recovers. Hao survived the disaster and will definitely become one of the best in the future." Qin Hao gently wiped away the woman's tears with his small hands, patted his small chest, and said confidently. Seeing her son comforting her in the opposite direction and looking like a young adult, Qin's mother immediately laughed. "I don't care about these things for my mother. As long as my Hao is safe and healthy, my mother will be satisfied." Upon hearing this, Qin Hao suddenly felt a slight sourness in his nose. Qin's mother's words reminded him of his former mother, who was equally great and selfless. "Mother, my son is destined to take an extremely dangerous path in this life, so I'm sorry." Qin Hao thought to himself. "Mom, go tell your dad now, Hao." "No need, my father is already very tired because of my situation. It's getting dark now, so let him rest well." Qin Hao grabbed his mother's hand to stop her from leaving, and then continued, "Mom, although the child's illness has improved, he doesn't remember anything from the past. You can talk to the child well." Qin's mother sighed and said, "It's normal for Hao not to remember. After all, Hao was only 5 years old when he was diagnosed with dementia. Over the past 5 years, Hao, you have been unable to speak clearly and speak fluently. Even your father and I don't know each other. It's strange to be able to remember the past. Let's talk about the issue with the balance system. Although the protagonist may have a few outbursts, it is an equal distribution of more than 10 forces, and the quality is definitely not as good as the protagonist, so there is no need to worry." End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Gentleness, Respectfulness, Frugality, and Concession. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Gentleness, Respectfulness, Frugality, and Concession. Chapter 7. Gentle, respectful, and frugal. Afterwards, Qian Hao lay in the arms of his beautiful mother, listening to her tell the stories of the past. He stayed up all night listening, not even knowing when he would fall asleep. Through this conversation, Qian Hao has already figured out the situation of his own home, so he won't be confused about it in the future. The father of this generation is named Qin Wen, with the courtesy name Boren. He is the largest family in Xianyang and the head of the Qin family. My mother's name is Xiang Yu. She is the eldest daughter of the Jia family, a prominent family in Liangzhou. She was once known as the Pearl of Liangzhou, a famous beauty in Liangzhou, and also the legitimate wife of Qin Wen. Qian Hao is the legitimate son and only son of the two. After Qian Hao, there is also an 8-year-old sister, Qin Shui. In the conversation with Jia, Qian Hao felt that his cheap father was not as harmless as his appearance, but rather a capable person with a deep background. Qin Wen was a disciple of the famous general Huang Fugui. He had followed Huang Fugui several times to suppress the rebellions and invasions of the Chang ethnic group in the Western Liang dynasty. He was a famous Confucian general in Guangzhou, with the highest official position being a subordinate general in charge of the imperial capital Luoyang. Later, he was dismissed due to the dispute between the Communist Party and the Communist Party, and now he is idle at home. However, Qin Wen is not willing to be lonely and has been entrusted to work in the court. The day of his return to office is probably not far away. Xiang Yu, the mother of the Chang ethnic group, established a strong relationship with Qin Wen during his suppression of the rebellion. Due to admiration for Qin Wen's talent and style, Xiang Yu took the initiative to pursue him and later married into the Qin family. In this era of matchmaking by the orders of her parents, her mother Xiang Yu took the initiative to pursue her crush for her own happiness. She is definitely a peculiar woman among women of this era, making Qian Hao couldn't help but sigh, extraordinary woman. In addition to Qin Wen, the head of the Qin family, Qian Hao also has 4 uncles, namely Qin Liang with the courtesy name Zhongyi, Qin Gong with the courtesy name Shuli, Qin Jian with the courtesy name Ji, and Qin Rang with the courtesy name Yoxin. Just after hearing the names of these 4 uncles, Qian Hao could not help but secretly roast that his grandfather Qin Shan was too good at naming. Gentle, respectful, frugal, and submissive. Uncle Buzhong is young, benevolent, righteous, courteous, wise, and trustworthy. This match is also too neat, it's simply amazing. Uncle Qin Liang was both skilled in literature and martial arts, but he passed away because he blocked a cold arrow for Qin Wen on the battlefield in Liangzhou. Uncle Qin Gong is smooth in handling affairs, now equivalent to the chief steward of the Qin family, particularly managing various affairs within and outside the mansion. The 4th uncle Qin Jian was brave, so Qin Wen ordered him to be in charge of the 800 ethnic soldiers of the Qin family, and the youngest 5th uncle Qin Rang lost news as soon as he reached adulthood. After Jia married Qin Hao, he had never seen him before, and now he doesn't even know whether he's alive or dead. From Jia's words, although Qin Hao understood many things, there were also many more questions that followed. Qin Hao learned from his mother that the reason he became foolish was actually due to an assassination attempt 5 years ago. That assassination was saved by Qin Hao's second uncle Qin Liang's timely arrival, but his brain accidentally hit a hard object, resulting in being foolish for 5 years. So the question is, who is going to kill themselves? And later, Uncle Qin Liang also died because he blocked the arrow for his elder brother Qin Wen, but this hidden arrow was not shot from the enemy camp, but from his own side. So who wants to kill Qin Wen? As for Qin Hao's recovery from illness, Qin Wen's mention of this small calamity is simply outrageous. 7 days ago, Qin Wen brought his foolish son Qin Hao back to the ancestral home of the Qin family, Lishan Qin family village, to pay respects to their ancestors. Although the Qin family is now a wealthy and prestigious family, they also come from a common background. Qin Hao's grandfather, Qin Shan, walked out of Qin village in Lishan and gradually laid the foundation of the Qin family. After being handed over to their father Qin Wen, the Qin family once again flourished and became the largest clan in Xianyang. Although the Qin Shan lineage has now become detached from the people and valued, it has not forgotten its roots. Every 10 years, the head of the family still returns to the village to participate in the ancestral worship ceremony. On that day, Qin Wen, as the host of the grand ceremony, naturally had no time to manage his son, while Qin Hao, as a fool, had no need to attend as long as he had his own intentions. So Qin Hao and a group of bear kids ran to the back of Mount Li to play, and a magical scene happened. A red python ran out of nowhere and headed straight towards Qin Hao as if it knew how to recognize people. The bear children were frightened and cried out as soon as they saw the python, leaving only Qin Hao standing there dumbfounded. The python grabbed Qin Hao and was about to enjoy the delicious meal before him when a thunderbolt suddenly struck from the clear sky. The python seemed to be frightened and ran away in panic like a kitten. However, Qin Hao, who saved a small life under the snake's mouth, was frightened and remained unconscious. Under the treatment of Dr. Zhang, it was 7 days before Qin Hao woke up. Of course, at this time, Qin Hao had been replaced by his soul, which had been around for over 2,000 years. After learning about his past, Qin Hao felt like cursing in his heart. There must be someone who wants to kill me. Otherwise, with so many children at that time, why didn't the python bite anyone and only come to bite itself? Qin Hao only thought of one possibility, which was that the python was under human control. Although he didn't know how the other person did it, there were definitely people who wanted their own lives, and their father was also their target. But Qin Hao is just a child, with only a pair of pupils that have some potential value, and has not harmed anyone's interests. As for Qin Wen, there are many people who have offended him. Eunuchs, political enemies, Chang people, and so on in the court cannot be ruled out. It seems that the Qin family is not as simple as they think, there must be a big secret. Qin Hao thought to himself. However, there is currently too little intelligence, and Qin Hao cannot infer any clues. However, Qin Hao has a feeling that the mastermind behind the scenes may be very close to him, and he is wary but also secretly worried. Teacher, you should come quickly. If you're not here, disciple, you don't feel secure. Qin Hao wailed in his heart. On the second day after Qin Hao recovered from his illness, after being thoroughly examined by Dr. Zhang, Qin Hao was finally granted special permission by the Jia family to get out of bed and move around. The first thing Qin Hao did when he got out of bed was to request Qin Wen to allow him to practice martial arts and strengthen his body. Qin Wen had intended to refuse, after all, his son had just recovered. But after seeing his son's firm gaze, Qin Hao finally nodded and agreed with satisfaction. For Qin Hao, practicing martial arts is an urgent task. If his teacher Guiguzi doesn't come, Qin Hao can't waste his time waiting for him to arrive. Now Qin Hao can only temporarily take a back seat and turn his mind to his own father. System, check my father's 5 dimensions. Ding dong, during the peak period of Qin Wen, he had 5 dimensions, with a commander of 69, military strength of 56, intelligence of 69, politics of 65, and charm of 75. Qin Hao immediately asked, isn't it true that my father is a famous Confucian general who has repeatedly repelled Chang invasions? Why is the 5 dimensions so low? Qin Wen currently has 5 dimensions, with a commander of 89, military strength of 79, intelligence of 89, politics of 85, and charm of 95, end of this chapter. Chapter 9. Hidden Viper. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Hidden Viper Chapter 8. The Hidden Viper. How could my father's current 5-dimensional attributes exceed so many of his peak 5-dimensional attributes? Qin Hao felt extremely puzzled in his heart. At present, Qin Wen's 5 dimensions are all above 80, except for 1 point difference in military strength, and his overall commander and intelligence are almost below 90. Such 5-dimensional attributes may not be considered top-notch in any era, but they are definitely top-notch talents. The difference between Qin Wen's 5-dimensional attributes is indeed too big, but it's a whole 100 points. What is the reason for a person's ability to suddenly increase by 100 points? Qin was puzzled by this and could only ask in confusion, "What's going on? Why is my father's 5 dimensions even higher than during his peak period?" Perhaps Qin Wen has some special skills that can improve his attributes. Can't the specific effect of the skill be detected? No, the system level is too low. If Qin Wen's hidden skill is not triggered, the system will not be able to detect it temporarily. Upon hearing this, Qin Hao sighed and said, "Upgrading the system is a long and arduous task. Qin Wen has 79 points of force, which is enough to teach the current host." "That's right. By the way, why hasn't Guiguzi come yet?" Perhaps Guiguzi is hiding in the dark to observe the host. Maybe Qin Hao was very helpless. The system couldn't provide a definite case, so he could only patiently wait and learn from his father first. Although Qin Wen only has 79 points of military strength, his teaching of his son Qin Hao can be said to be extremely serious, and Qin Hao has also shown a far superior talent in martial arts. Once, only once, Qin Hao successfully cultivated his internal power according to the operation route of the Qin family's ancestral internal mental technique. It's good for an average person to generate a sense of qi in a month. For those with better aptitude, it takes 7 days, and for geniuses, it also takes 3 days. Among geniuses, it takes at least 1 day, while Qin Hao only uses it once. This can no longer be described as a genius, it's simply a demon. Qin Hao has such talent, but Qin Wen is overjoyed. He keeps talking about things like having successors and the Qin family will rise. On the 3rd day after Qin Hao's recovery, Qin Wen held a grand celebration banquet for him at the Qin mansion, announcing to all the aristocratic families in Xianyang that my son's illness had improved and the Qin family was no longer foolish. Most of the major families and officials in Xianyang were present, and officials from other counties in Guangzhou, as well as some clans in Liangzhou, also joined in, allowing Qin Hao to fully see the influence of his father. The reason why the major families have such a tacit understanding is not only due to the influence of Qin Wen, but also due to the relationship between Qin Hao. As the only person in the world with double pupils, Qin Hao was destined to be watched by countless people from birth, including several great scholars such as Cai Yong, who once said they would take Qin Hao as their disciple. After Qin Hao became a fool, countless people sighed. A star destined to shine fell before it even rose. And now what does Qin Hao's recovery mean? This means that as long as Qin Hao does not fall, under the guidance of his innate focus and talent as a sage, the Qin family is definitely likely to become the next top-tier family comparable to the 4 major commercial families, even the Yuan family. The top aristocratic families such as the Yuan family, Hongnong family, and Yang family in Runan may disdain this, but small families care about it. It is necessary to stand up early for the growth of the family. If we could marry the Qin family and marry our own daughter to the heavy-eyed son of the Qin family, it would definitely surpass the struggles of several generations. Qin Hao's performance at the banquet amazed everyone even more. At a young age, his appearance was extremely beautiful, so let's not mention it. No matter how much he faced anyone's questions, he calmly answered them, and was able to speak fluently. Between words, one speaks with great meaning, neither humble nor overbearing to the upper level, and gentle as jade to the lower level, always showing a calm and indifferent demeanor. Representatives of major families couldn't help but nod in secret, thinking to themselves. With such a talented heir, the rise of the Qin family is not far away. For Qin Hao, this banquet had 2 major gains. Firstly, he witnessed the extravagant culture of the aristocratic family of the Han Empire, and his own family was a typical example. No matter how difficult the lives of the lower-class people may be, the aristocratic family will always be high above them, always in a way that is irrelevant to oneself. They should still enjoy what they deserve when they are closed. However, what they squander is the blood and sweat of the people. Over time, only the people will have ghosts. The second gain was meeting his two uncles, third uncle Qin Gong and fourth uncle Qin Jian. Fourth uncle Qin Jian was rough, wild, and bold, or perhaps he had a simple mind. The slap he gave when we first met almost shattered Qin Hao's small body. Later, upon realizing his recklessness, the kind of care that emerged from Qin Jian's embarrassment was enough to indicate that he was truly careless, or rather a neurotic person. Overall, Qin Hao felt that this fourth uncle had no ulterior motives and was quite angry with himself. As for Uncle Qin Gong, Qin Hao has a bad impression of him. Although third uncle and fourth uncle both showed great concern for themselves, Qin Hao couldn't feel the sincerity in his heart. Because in the eyes of Uncle San, Qin Hao did not see the genuine care from the heart like Uncle Si, but instead saw a hint of coldness. Uncle San has a smiling face towards everyone. Qin Hao is too familiar with this formatted smiling face, which is the same for those unscrupulous businessmen and corrupt officials in later generations, so in Qin Hao's eyes, the third uncle Qin Gong feels hypocritical. Qin Hao subconsciously believed that third uncle Qin Gong was not that simple, and unconsciously associated him with the mastermind behind the scenes. Because if both himself and his father died, Qin Gong, as the younger brother of the head of the family, would naturally become the head of the Qin family, and his profit would be the greatest. In Qin Hao's view, external enemies are not terrifying, but what is truly terrifying is hiding invisible enemies within. After all, only 1,000 days of being a thief, how can there be 1,000-day defense against thieves? Internal enemies are like venomous snakes hidden in the dark, constantly biting you at any moment, making it impossible for you to defend yourself. To deal with such people, one must strike and kill them, otherwise there will be endless trouble. Qin Hao dare not gamble, because if he loses, he will pay the price of his life. So although Qin Hao didn't have any conclusive evidence and only had a slight suspicion, he still decided to test his third uncle Qin Gong. In Qin Hao's opinion, he doesn't need evidence. A little doubt is enough. Qin Gong holds the financial power of the Qin government. If there are really problems, the consequences would be unimaginable. The plot has started, don't rush to watch The World of War, there are plenty of war scenes in the war novels. Many of the foreshadowing lines and dark lines in this book are highlights, which have already been explained to many. When unraveled, it will definitely be refreshing to everyone. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Literature and Martial Arts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Literature and Martial Arts. Chapter 9. Literature and Martial Arts. On the third day, Qin Hao took the soup and medicine handed over by his maid with a bitter face, gritted his teeth, closed his eyes, held his breath, pinched his nose, and drank the soup and medicine in large gulps, as if facing death. As soon as the decoction was taken, Qin Hao immediately started using his family's internal mental skills. After several weeks of operation, he felt a significant increase in his internal strength and immediately showed a satisfied smile. The soup and medicine that Qin Hao just drank is an essential medicine for building foundations in the early stages of martial arts. Although he doesn't know its specific value, judging from the careful appearance of the little maid who is afraid of spilling a drop, he knows that it is definitely valuable. This kind of foundation-building medicine, even in a big family like the Qin family, only legitimate children are eligible to enjoy it, which fully demonstrates the value it contains. A scholar who has been studying hard for 10 years, a warrior who has lived a life of 100 taels of gold. Martial arts must be practiced from a young age, and the money spent on internal and external skills is simply not affordable for ordinary people. Poor people cannot afford to practice internal skills because they don't have the money to buy medicinal herbs to assist in practice. Therefore, they can only practice external skills at most, but it is difficult to reach the peak in this way. Compared to practicing martial arts, reading is much cheaper, so for the poor, reading is the first choice. After consuming all the medicinal power in his body, Qian Hao checked his attributes and found that his strength increased by 1 point. Currently, his strength is 6. Qian Hao's gaze towards the soup bowl in his hand suddenly became fiery, but he also knew that force was practiced, and using drugs could not make him a true powerhouse. Qian Hao stood up and looked at the little maid beside him, shouting, "Sister Yuner, take me to the training ground." A hint of helplessness flashed on Yuner's face. She was just a maid, and the young master called her sister. How could she be taken seriously? If other young masters heard of her, they would scold her. Although I have told the young master many times, it seems to be of no use at all. The young master seems to have become accustomed to it. After sighing, Yuner said, "Young master, please come with me." As the first family in Xianyang, the Qin mansion covers a very wide area, but Qian Hao has not yet fully explored the Qin mansion. After walking behind Yuner for about 15 minutes, Qian Hao finally arrived at the martial arts training ground exclusively for the children of the Qin family. On the martial arts training ground, there were all 18 types of weapons, including large and small stone locks, which caught Qian Hao's eye. Just after exercising one by one, Qian Hao noticed some movement to the east of the martial arts training ground. He walked over and found that it was Qin Hu, the son of the fourth uncle Qin Jian. At this moment, Qin Hu was holding a long sword, wielding a set of Qin family swordsmanship with a graceful posture. The soup on the stone table still had some warmth left. It was obvious that Qin Hu had just finished drinking the foundation building soup and immediately entered the cultivation process. Fourth brother, good swordsmanship, Qian Hao praised while applauding. As soon as Qin Hu saw that the person coming was Qian Hao, he immediately withdrew his sword and greeted him with a smile, saying, "So it's my fifth brother." Although Qian Hao is the legitimate son of the family, he is not the eldest son. There are 4 older brothers above him. The eldest son of the Qin family is Qin Long, the son of the third uncle Qin Gong. The second son is also Qin Tian, the son of the third uncle. The third son is Qin Zheng, the son of the deceased second uncle Qin Liang. The fourth son is Qin Hu, the son of the fourth uncle. Although his father Qin Yuan is the oldest among uncles, Qin Hao is the youngest, ranking 5th. Fourth brother has already mastered his family's traditional swordsmanship to a young age, and among the several brothers, fourth brother has the highest martial arts talent. Qin Hao smiled and said, but there was no intention of flattering him at all. At the age of only 12, Qin Hu had already mastered the Qin family's sword technique, which is suitable for combat, to a small extent. It is truly a natural talent. Where, this achievement is far inferior to that of the 5th younger brother. I heard that the 5th younger brother cultivated his internal power for the first time, and I am satisfied with this talent, the 4th brother. Qin Hu said sternly, his eyes filled with envy and admiration. Of course, there was also a hint of unwillingness. It took Qin Hu a day to cultivate his internal power, while Qin Hao only used it once, and the difference between them was already very clear. Internal power only represents internal skills. In combat, external skills are the key to true strength. Therefore, 4th brother doesn't need to underestimate himself. Qin Hao laughed and Qin Hu nodded thoughtfully upon hearing this. Qin Hao pointed to the soup and medicine on the stone table and said with a smile on his face, "Why is the soup bowl that 4th brother drinks a small bowl? Is there anyone who dares to cheat on 4th brother's monthly routine? We must talk to our father carefully, it's too shameful." Upon hearing this, Qin Hu shook his head and waved his hand at Qin Hao, saying, "No need, no need. Oh. Does 4th brother have any unspoken secrets?" After a moment of silence, Qin Hu said helplessly, "Hey, the foundation building soup and medicine are valuable. Even 4th brother, I can't drink them every day. But at this critical moment when I am practicing upright, the daily supply of that soup and medicine is not enough, so I have to pay for it myself." Upon hearing this, Qin Hao fell silent for a moment. Even as a family, there were still differences in treatment. Although Xiang Yu was the son of the fourth uncle, the difference in treatment was still significant compared to his own legitimate son, the young head of the family. Fourth brother, don't worry. The soup and medicine you will use for practicing martial arts in the future will be wrapped around your younger brother, Xiang Yu said with a smile. Really? Xiang Yu exclaimed in surprise, but then remembered something and his mood suddenly fell. Sun Guanshi, who is in charge of the warehouse, is the third uncle's person. Unless there is an order from the third uncle, no one can go. I have discussed with him a few times, but Sun Guanshi ignored me in all matters. Upon hearing this, Xiang Yu suddenly had an idea in his heart. He had been wanting to test his third uncle, but he was struggling because there was no chance, and now the opportunity had arrived. End of this chapter.